Hey, today I'm talking about 3 westerns, all featuring Felicia Farr. And the names of those 3 movies are Jubal, Reprisal, and Hell Bent for Leather. First up is Jubal. This is a 1956 film, and the basic premise is this rancher hires a controversial new foreman, but what makes it extra spicy is that the ranch owner's wife is spoiled rotten, a brat, horny, lonely, and she causes even more mischief. And yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's so good. But it's also hard to talk about because like the best juicy things are all third act reveals, and I don't really want to spoil that stuff because it's fun to get to it and experience. But I will say there's so much great nuance to this film. Like, it's definitely an adult film because the foreman, Jubal, he always pushes off the rancher's wife's advances because he likes this job. But the great nuance of it is he is without a doubt tempted. Like, if he didn't care, he would for sure have had all of the sex with her. But you can see him just gritting his teeth every time she's like, oh, hey, Jubal. And he's like, no. And like, I gotta respect the man for that 100%. But the great thing about it is that even though he says no, it still leads to problems. Just like the fact that there is this sexual tension there, even though he's not acting on it, there are still consequences to that just existing. There is another woman that he's more interested in. That's Felicia. She's a super cutie in this. But what I love is how he decides to woo her. He kind of accidentally does, in that he like just reveals his soul to her, like talks about this really traumatic event in his childhood, and like it's not a line and he did not mean to do it whatsoever, but because Felicia is just so easy to talk to and charming, he just accidentally really opens up to her and trauma dumps a little bit. But it works. It naturally flowed to it. It was just such a brilliant moment and I loved it a lot. Very ballsy on his part, even though it was unintentional, to just kind of let the trauma flow. But yeah, no, it was cool. I liked it a lot. So yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie and would definitely recommend it. If you want a Western with some good, juicy drama, look no further. This is such a good, fun, interesting story that I highly recommend. Next up is Reprisal. This is another 1956 film, and the basic premise is this man bought this kind of shitty land in this incredibly racist town, and he just wants to live his life, be a rancher, keep his head down, not cause any trouble. But the racism in this town is a lot, and he can't help but get involved. It's so easy to empathize with the lead because we all just want to live our life. We don't want to have to do revolutions and change the status quo. We just want to go day to day, enjoy ourselves, enjoy our fun hobbies, and spend time with our family and friends. So I get it not wanting to step up. But with the way that society is set up, it's impossible to ignore the unending racial biases that are baked into our society as much as one might try. We as individuals must stand up for injustice, which is what the film is telling us to do. A little thing that I loved a lot was the antagonists are 3 brothers, and one of them is trying to have an affair with a Native American woman. So even though like they're very outwardly racist and he's still kind of racist towards her, he still recognizes that she's a person and it's someone that he loves and wants to be with, but he can't because of, again, the way society is set up and the way he's rooted in this community as a racist piece of shit, and he has to keep that identity going in order to keep the status quo, in order to keep the hierarchy, to keep himself on top. So that's a really good, interesting moral dilemma of wanting to follow his instincts, but in order to follow his instincts, he then has to lower his place in society, and like, who wants to do that? Oh, and another really good moment near the end is like Felicia is in love with the hero of the story, and there's a moment where it's revealed that maybe he had sex with a Native American woman, and she's hurt by this because she's in love with him, but then she acts a little bit racist there in that situation, and it's like she's been from the get-go a big proprietor of racist, but her acting a little bit racist racist in that moment is very true to life, because as much as we may try to be good people to not be racist, it's so ingrained in our society and in our culture and just everything that like it's impossible to not be just a tiniest bit racist. Society just trains us to be it. So yeah, no, that's just a really interesting thing that is not really touched on when talking about race in film. So I love that a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's a really interesting, well-made, nuanced film with some really great ideas, executed so well, and the story is fantastic, performances are great. Yeah, no, it's just a top to bottom fantastic film that I would without a doubt recommend. It's really something special that is definitely worth checking out. And lastly is Hellbent for Leather. This is a 1960 film, and the basic premise is this man is traveling through the Old West because he has to go herd some cattle, but along the way he gets mugged. So he stops by this small town where a misunderstanding occurs. They believe that he is the person who mugged him, and that guy actually murdered some people. So they want to kill the protagonist, and to make matters worse, there's a marshal that's been hunting down the murderer for several months, and he's also accusing our protagonist as being this guy. But once they get away from town, the marshal reveals that he does know that the protagonist is not the murderer, but he's very frustrated that he can't catch the murderer, so he ponders the idea of just killing the protagonist and claiming that he was actually the murderer. So the protagonist runs away, and that's the rest of the story, is him on the run from an angry mob and an insane marshal. And it's pretty dang solid. I definitely enjoyed this film a lot. It's classic cat and mouse stuff that's really interesting. It's definitely a very beautifully shot film. Like, it's so gorgeous, and it's been restored so you can really see the natural beauty of this film. But like, the story is so good and so interesting because it is just such a hell scenario. They want to kill him on the spot. Like, they won't give him time to prove his innocence, and so it just automatically pushes him to such a desperate state from the get-go that would turn even the most mild-mannered person crazy and do the most absurd things, because we don't want to die, especially for something we did not do. So yeah, it's wild. It was a really interesting story. Good performances, shot well. I enjoyed it a good solid amount. It's a quite liked for me, so it's basically a 4 out of 5. I think what kept it out of my top ranking, or really like, is that there wasn't a lot to chew on besides the basic concept. Like, we do hear backstories for both the lead and Felicia, as well as the main villain, the marshal, which were interesting. It just didn't hit me the hardest. So like, it was good. It was definitely good. I would totally recommend this. This is a good, solid, interesting film. Like I said, beautiful and all that jazz. It just didn't hit me as hard as I would have liked, but it still was a good, solid experience that I would definitely recommend. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Jubal sitting at number 42 in the really like section. And then after that is Reprisal sitting at number 50, again in the really like section. And then not too terribly far behind is Hellbent for Leather sitting at number 77 in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 225 old movies so far this year.